Hi, James.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm okay. I'm alright. Tired as usual.
So tell us a bit about yourself.
Um, right. I'm from Warrington, which is like 30 minutes from here. I moved to Salford to do my undergrad. I still live in Salford, but I'm now doing a postgraduate in public international law. Yeah. And I'm really boring as well.
What are your interests? Since you said that you're boring, let us be the judges of that.
I'm interested in I mean it sounds really cliche, but like music. But like I like to. Well, I used to. I don't really do as much anymore because I find it difficult to find the time. But I used to produce my own music and stuff like dance music and DJ in clubs and stuff. But I've not really done that as of late. But I still like enjoy doing it, like in my spare time and stuff. It's like DJing and stuff and listening to new songs and seeing how I can like develop them into like a set and stuff. I really like football. Like I've got one of those brains that sort of like remember like loads of stats about and things like that. So like I have just like this like sponge of a memory for football. Like my dad hates me for it because my dad used to take me to go see Everton for 7 years. We had season tickets, and he every time we'd be at the match, I'd just be firing like statistics at him when he really just didn't care. He just wanted to watch the football. And I'd be like, well, this guy has had every shot he's took so far this season, he's scored, and he'd be like, let's hope he does it today then. Do you know what I mean? Not really caring. And like things about like pass accuracy and things like that. I really like sort of the statistics about it. But yeah, I also support Everton, so I know what it feels like to lose all the time. Yeah.
Why sport?
Why sport? What do you mean?
Like,
What interests you in sports? Why football? Why sports?
Well, I had this sort of like, well, I started football late, like really sort of, because a lot of people's like parents are really into it, like their dads especially, and then they get like the kids like, in this country anyway, they get the kids playing football for a team at like 5-6 years old, because I used to referee, and I'd be refereeing like they first bring in referees at eight, under sevens we call it, so like 6 and 7 to get them used to. So they would play competitive matches without referees, and then they bring in like the discipline element to sort of like and get them used to it from like 7 rather than when they start at like 5. So but I only started really playing and getting into football around like 12, which was because my dad didn't really care much for football, I suppose. If he cared more, he probably would have got me into it and stuff. I was like more like swimming and just more like keeping active instead of playing like a team sport. But I always found that like just swimming and stuff was boring. Like running like, because my parents like run marathons and stuff, and I find it whenever I've tried it, it's just I can't keep it up because I'm so bored. You know, it just feels more like a chore, whereas like playing in like a team sport, it feels like you're always thinking about like, you may not be running for the whole time, but that's the point, because then you're thinking about where your positioning, where you should be, where you should run, what you should do if you get a ball, making yourself available. It's the same for most team sports that involve more than, say, 3 people, where you can actually do sort of a variety of things. Plus as well, I like the win and lose thing, because like I went to watch my parents like at the Manchester Half Marathon, and trust me, I could never do it, and I'd be proud like of everyone, but everyone's a winner. Not everyone could be winners. And I like the big one of the big parts about football is that you do lose, and supporting Everton we do the same amount of time as we win. We're like a mid-table team, so it's like you're not used to failure, but like it feels better when you win. So if you keep running, you'll only be disappointed if you don't finish. And if anything, if you've ran like so many marathons, like it's just like, imagine like Mo Farah, yeah, he's pretty much done everything he can do, and now he's like, you know, if you just run, you're still a winner for finishing, but he's just really good at it. And obviously it's different at that level, I understand that, because like you can get gold medals, but like just like for a regular runner, you always win by just finishing or maybe beating your time. But when you can see, you know, people upset because they've lost, especially when you've gone on like a losing streak or something, yeah, I don't know, it feels like people compare like supporting any team in a lot of sports to a religion, like in a way that it's like a belief and you follow it and it affects your mood. So if like Everton lose on a Saturday, you're just going to have a miserable rest of the day, sort of thing. Like a lot of people see it that way, but I think because my friend actually, he supported United and then started supporting Tottenham but his reasoning was really weird. So he used to play like Call of Duty all the time, but when he'd lose or like die on it, he'd get really annoyed, and he boiled that down to being an avid follower of United, who at the time was winning everything. So you don't get used to the idea of losing.
So how about you? I know you play a lot of video games. Are you okay with losing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what?
Even in like just about like football and stuff, I feel like there's entertainment in the journey rather than the final result. It's the same with playing video games. Like even if you lose, like I don't know, I played Overwatch and Call of Duty and stuff, and you can win, lose games. They're like 10 minutes long rather than 90, and they happen more than once or twice a week than like in football. But like, you've lost, yeah, but at least the game's done, and you can go into another one and you might win, you know. I don't like games like Overwatch because it's too reliant on the rest of your team. But like you see in like Call of Duty, one person can be absolutely storming it and win the game for a team. So I play at FIFA as well, obviously, because I like football, and I really like a lot of role-playing games, RPGs. So like Fallout, which is about it's sort of set in, imagine if we have like a nuclear war and people go into these, they're called vaults, and they're like shelters, nuclear shelters, and then they go on for like a couple of generations in the vault, and then they leave, and you play as like, there's 5 of them, and you play as someone who's sort of, yeah, like new to the world after this, like, and you explore like a post-apocalyptic world, and you get like missions and stuff to do. And then like the new Spider-Man game came out. That was really cool.
What?
Playing as Spider-Man.
Favorite game?
It's called Horizon Zero Dawn. I've actually have a tattoo about it. They have like these dinosaur things, that like machines that have like an actual use in the world. Like they're made for a certain reason. If you play it, I'm not going to spoil it, but like the story is so well thought out scientifically, and from like a really good storytelling narrative as well. So I prefer video games to film, just because it's more, again, like running. I feel the interactiveness is more not just stimulating in general. You're not running and going into autopilot, you know, you're not watching a film and it's just happening in front of you. You're actually part of it. Like football, you're actually part of something, you're not just walking quick from somewhere to somewhere else. I don't know. I just find it more, yeah.
What about law? So you did law undergrad, now you're doing public international law. Why law?
It's very stimulating, and not just from. So there's a few different ways I see things. I see things in a very formulaic way and systematic, which is nice. I like it when things might go from, you've done this, it's not right, so this is your punishment. Like that, I like that sort of thing. But I also like sort of legal theory. I think that's one of the things that it's really interests me as to why, not just because I like it, that it works, but why does it work? Why did we get there? Why isn't it a different way? Because like we do it a certain way in England, and because I've not been in a different country for an extended period of time to know anything about the law there, it's interesting to know that there's common law and civil law jurisdictions. There's different governance of different countries and the way that they work, and different economic perspectives, different just ways of doing things, and why we do it one way, why that came from. Because obviously we did have technically not a dictatorship in a way, but we used to have a monarchy, which is like essentially a dictatorship, but a dictatorship, it doesn't necessarily stay in the family. So theoretically, like, you could argue that the North Korea is a monarchy because it goes to the sons. But we used to have that. Why don't we have it anymore? Why do we go to this? Why didn't we do something else? And like as well, especially with like international law, when a lot of it is based on like theory of different ways of global governance in general, being able to actually have input in, like, because if you think about it as well, you have like criminal law, it's pretty done, isn't it? Like, I mean, there may be new offences that come up because of changes in technology, hacking, for example, but for the most part, it's done, really. Things are wrong, it's natural law. Things are wrong, so they get punished, essentially, because they're wrong. Like, hacking is wrong, so it gets so like, there's only developments there when new things happen and there's not necessarily areas of like real growth in different ways of doing it, because how are you going to change like a whole country's system on criminal law, except if there's like a revolution or something. But with international law, there's like ways to really make change from like within it. Like you can, so now it's like there isn't in theory a central governing body, when in years to come, when we have aliens or when we colonize another planet or mutual assured destruction or something like a huge catastrophe, a central governing body may almost federalize the world. Like, imagine if like the American states, imagine if the whole world is like the American states, and they have like obviously overarching like federal law and then state law. So for example, there's that, I think, for some international lawyers is like the game and the outcome, but like for others it isn't. But it's interesting to see that there is wiggle room to develop it. It's not like there, but it can get there. I see it anyway as. I don't know if people agree with me, but I can sort of see how we can end up there.
Do they have to agree with you? Do people have to agree with you?
No, of course not. Because
so okay, let's say you were right.
Then I can just go around saying I told you so. No, I mean, okay, so yeah, I mean, there's if I was, say if I become an academic and stuff, then if I was right, then you could have an active role in shaping it. If I was wrong, then we stick to the system we have now, which isn't necessarily flawed. It works to an extent, arguably. But again, like, people will argue what we have now doesn't work. People will argue what we have in 20 years that doesn't work, and people will argue that it does work if it's different, if it's the same, if people see it as different, if people see it as the same. Like, people can argue anything and use anything as evidence, but like, but that's the beauty of international law for me. The fact that where it can end up is like, could be anything. In 10 years' time, it could be completely different to what we have now. In 20 years' time, it could be even different to what it is then. You know, maybe not, probably not, but it could be. It has the ability to do it. Is sort of how I see it, rather than like, whereas criminal law, is there really going to be a vast change? I mean, in contract law, criminal law, is there really going to be a big change in the next 10 years? Is our political structure of the UK, is that going to change? Probably not. Again, like, it's pretty set, it's done. People can argue one thing or another, but in practice, it's pretty much done. Whereas in practice in international law, I think a lot of things can change soon. And soon being in like 10, 20 years. In relation to like the grand scheme of things, which is like 200 years.
What does success mean to you?
There's two ways I see it. Money and happiness, I think. If you have both, you're extremely successful. Like, money doesn't solve the world's problems, but it certainly makes it easier. Okay? People may disagree with that, but if you have a financial burden which is actually making you struggle, then it's going to make you unhappy. But it doesn't lead to happiness, but it leads to less hardships, I suppose. And then there's happiness, where there's like, you actually, say if you, I don't know, for example, like, I became like a world famous DJ, for example, and then you have like success and money, and you're happy doing what you're doing. That's like that's the dream sort of thing, where like you're doing something, you're getting loads of money for it, but it feels like it's value. So I get happiness from weird places. I see it as like having fun. Obviously, is good for happiness, but doing something that's worthwhile. So I was more happy working at an estate agent's than a pub, because I felt valued in sort of, there was like a process, and each company does it differently, but like there was a process and I'd help in a certain way which would directly affect the people. Like, it would make them happy because they just bought a new house or they just rented a new property, you know? So like, that's people, it makes people excited and stuff. And people give you crap as well when you work in a pub. They're not exactly very, some people, not all of them, but some of them are absolutely lovely. There's a big overgeneralization, but some very small amount of people, probably the ones you remember because they made you annoyed, they're the ones that sort of ruin it and don't make you feel valued, even though you're doing a service to someone. Whereas, like, as I said, working in the estate agents, it was like, you did something that has affected someone's life, maybe in a positive way. I mean, if they've just bought a house, they've probably got a mortgage and then just financially burdened themselves. But it's, for a lot of people, they're buying a new house as an upsize to start a family, to expand their family they already have, you know. So like, it's a big thing for people in life, buying, you know, they say it's like the biggest investment you'll ever make, buying a house. So yeah, it was really nice to sort of help people on that process, and actually feel, and I got like real satisfaction out of it, because people were like happy at the end. When it was bad, it was really bad. So like if something messes up, it's super bad, which is rare, very rare in fact, and it can lead to tears because it's such a big deal. But the fact that that sort of riding on it makes it, when it works out 99.9.9999% of the time, it's good, because you've made somebody's life, you've helped them in a way that perhaps working in a pub you can't do, or a chippy.
What is your dream? When will you, no.
I don't know, because part of me wants to stick in academia because I'm afraid of getting a real job. Which is, I'm pretty sure 50% of the reason I'm doing a master's is because I didn't want to start a 9 to 5. It makes sense to do one, back when, especially in the UK, I don't know about where it's like where you guys are from, but when my parents were our age, you were smart if you went to college, when my dad was younger, you were smart if you went to college. You were really smart. And then when the generation in between our parents and us, you were really smart if you went to university. And now, because in that time everyone started going to college, and now not everyone, a lot of people are doing vocational stuff like apprenticeships, which is the same similar level to degrees, but now everyone's got that. So again, you need maybe something further like a master's, which just sort of separates you from the bunch. So that was part of it, obviously, something for the CV to put above other people. But the more I get into it, the more I just want to stay in it as well. So I don't believe we'll get to a point where everyone's doing a master's and you have to do a PhD to do a difference. But my friend told me that he was looking for like grad schemes in chemical engineering, and then he was looking at a particular grad scheme and he didn't get it, and then he did a master's, and then the following year he got that very same one, because he would have been competing with people who their stand-up thing on a CV was probably having a master's, and then because he had it, he probably had a really good CV and good interview and stuff, so he got it. So yeah, so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do it. But like I don't know, the more I sort of get into like the theory and stuff behind it, I want to teach as well, but I wouldn't want to teach it like college or high school. I don't think I've got the patience for it. But I don't know, it's a difficult one, because like I may just, after all this, if I just struggle to find, I may go for a PhD, but if I struggle to get one, I might just get a 9 to 5 and work in an office. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's difficult to say. For me anyway, there's like, I never was younger and was like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be... When my first encounter with the law was at an open day at a college I didn't even go to, and someone was stood at a stand that said law on top of it, and my dad was like, probably thinking, oh, we could get a lawyer in the family, and going, why don't you check out law? But yeah, so it's a funny one, because I don't really sort of know, I never really knew what I wanted to do, and I still don't.
So could you answer the question, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. No. No, not at all. I don't, no. Maybe still playing on PlayStation. Probably like, I don't know, it's 11 o'clock on a Wednesday, so probably in my 9 to 5. but later on I'll probably be playing on a PlayStation. I don't know. It's just a tough one because like I never set out in law of having a goal of becoming a lawyer. I took it at college. But I took history and psychology. I never took neither took those subjects to become a historian or a psychologist. It's so hard to say. Imagine like, I don't know, tomorrow someone finds one of my songs that I made 2 years ago and they're like, that is amazing, re-releases it on a record label, and I get like a huge deal because of it, and then I go into that. You know, I find it really difficult to answer that question, which is really bad for me because I don't have a direction with what I'm doing. But it's kind of cool. It means I'm open to stuff.
What was baby James like? What were you like as a kid?
My parents always said I was laughing all the time. I never cried. So they decided to have my sister, who cried all the time. They were like, oh, this is easy. Because apparently I was so happy. I don't know. Like, I know it's really odd to say, but I don't remember very much from before 10 years old, which is really weird. I don't actually remember like events happening and stuff. I don't know. I wasn't smart. I was not smart. I know that. Did you have like SATs where you came from? Which was like, you know, at primary school, have a test in year 6 the last year of primary school. You did? Well, I did. You didn't. Well, they've took it away from here now because it's stupid. But we did. And I did really badly. And then I went into high school in really bad, because they started for math and English and maybe science. They already in high school in this country, they start already almost streamlining you to a grade. So if you were there were 6 sets, and if you were in set 4, 5 and 6, you'd do a foundation paper, which means you're capped at a C. Whereas 1, 2 and 3, I mean, I think 4 you could choose, but 1, 2 and 3 you had to do the higher paper, I think it was called, where you could get an A star to, or F. Which again, like, and that was because I did bad in a test at primary school, because I wasn't smart. I didn't take it seriously. I hated homework. I hated reading. I hated maths. I hated everything to do with school. Because of that, then I was then streamlined at high school for exams. I was going to take 5 years after that to be capped at a C because of the grade I got in primary school. It took a lot of fight from like my parents and stuff to get me higher in sets in time for exams so I could sit higher papers. And I did it. I mean, I did okay. I did well in like sciences, I did well in maths. Again, subjects that were like A, B and C, you know, 2 + 2 is 4. English, you know, I'd never, ever, I think I only recently got the idea of the curtains are blue, sort of like English literature thing, like, you know, blue means this, that and the other, and that's why the curtains are blue in this particular piece of literature, because it means this. I've got a grasp on that recently. So I got C's in English, but I was allowed to sit the higher paper. But the issue was that if you're streamlined and you're capped at a C, then you get a D. You need A stars to C to get into college in this country. 7, I think. And then, yeah, so like, I just know I wasn't smart. That's pretty much all I know about it. I don't know what it was like. I don't have many friends when I was younger because I changed schools as well. Changed area. I still lived in Warrington, but it's not exactly a small place. When you move from one side to the other, you're physically like moving like an hour away in like 45 minutes to an hour away. So it's not exactly like I moved around the corner. So I don't really speak to anyone that I was friends with when in primary school.
Would you say you're the same baby James, or have you changed over time?
I don't know. I think college was a real time where I changed my outlook on working hard. Because at college, obviously, like people take it two ways in this country. It's like you're given a lot more freedom. So at high school, you come in at 8:45, whatever time, leave at 3, and you had stuff to do every Monday to Friday, and it was structured. Whereas college, you didn't have to come in, only for your classes, like university. So you had to be disciplined enough. You go to college at 16, so some people aren't. But I realised that I didn't do well in my first year of college. I did okay, so I could go on to the second year of college. That was fine, but when I got my results, I was really like, I need to put more work in than just the time that we're in. So I became more disciplined and hardworking. Did okay, yeah. So that was like, I think, in terms of changing from the person to I am now, that had a big effect on my outlook on work, especially. Other changing events? No, I mean, I'm still sort of a really chirpy guy, just tired all the time. Yeah, no, there's not much. I feel like I'm the same person, except from now I don't cry when our uni teachers give us homework and have to be forced to do it by my parents. I think that was my parents were really like supportive through. Like I had to be sat down, like in high school, like, and then it really clicked why in college. Like, your parents get you to do things when you're younger, and you don't have a clue why, so you don't like it or you don't want to do them. And then when you figure out, you're like, damn, I wish I listened more now and did it. So.
What would your friends describe you?
So I don't know. My best friends are from home. They probably describe me as small because they're literally the size of bouncers, all of them. They're all like above 6'2", I think, and I'm 5'5". So it looks like, when we go out, it looks like, I'm out with my entourage, with my bodyguards. I don't know. I hope they see me as like someone that's really fun to be around and funny. But I'm not. I'm definitely not. I laugh at my own jokes. Don't know. These guys, like, I've not been, in terms of like the grand scheme of things, like, as I said, I moved school, so I've not been friends with these guys for my whole life. I met a few of them when I moved around year 6, and then the rest of them, like, my best friend, I only became really good friends with him midway through to the end of high school. Even then, more so at college. But I don't know what they describe me as, actually. I think they'd probably say I'm very loud. Napoleon syndrome and that. I hope they find me boring as well, probably, because I'm just like very inquisitive So they all like rugby. I don't get it. So they probably say that I'm very inquisitive, and when I don't know something, I want to find it out.
How would you describe yourself? And is it different from the way your friends would?
No. I'm small. It's pretty objective. I am inquisitive. Like my undergrad uni lecturers and postgraduate and probably people on the course feel the same. I'm always asking questions and stuff. I've noticed that. I think I'm funny, but doesn't everyone? Yeah, I think so. I'm just saying what I want them to think. So if I'm a horrible person, they're probably like, yeah, he's horrible. But I don't want them to think that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just portraying how I feel about myself onto them.
What is your superpower?
I don't know. I think, like, what would be my superpower, or what do you think? What's special about me? I don't know.
That's the question, but you could also tell us what your superpower would be.
Well, my superpower would be, I definitely would be able to fly, because then I'd be able to travel. You know, you won't have to go to the airport. Check super strength, obviously, so you can carry your luggage all the way to a different country as well. But it'd be, you'd just be able to get there. You won't have to go to. The thing is, you won't have to drive to an airport. You won't have to wake up at like ridiculous hours in the morning, and you could just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to wherever, Spain today, and chill. Come back later on. So it just make you a bit more independent in terms of being able to travel. I think that would be cool. You wouldn't be relying on planes being delayed, your luggage being lost, etc., etc. It'd literally like take away all like the problems with traveling. And also, I don't particularly like traveling. I'm a little bit of a home bird, considering, I live half an hour away from my parents' house, whereas you guys live across the whole way across the world, and you live just halfway across the world. Like, I don't think, I was speaking to someone about this last night, I don't think I'd find it difficult to live in a different country, I think. Even if the culture is the same, or similar, like Western Europe sort of thing. I think I wouldn't. People say the further they live away, the more they come home, but I don't think I would as much, because I don't like travelling. I hate it. But I think I think I'm like, the blue guy on that DreamWorks film. What's he called? Megamind, No, I'm joking. I don't know if I have one. Being able to, like, I don't know, link everything causally, I suppose. Finding things that go from A to B that may not even be in the same linear chain.
Can you give us an example? Can you think of an example? Put you on the spot, but...
like causal events in history, like there's a reason that like the A to B stuff, there may have been things like in between, but like you start from here and this is a logical outcome, even if the two things are completely unrelated. Like a lot of I don't know, I don't want to go into like political governance or law for this. There's just things that don't seem to link, but they always do. and everything is like throughout history. Why do we learn history? To figure out what's going to happen in the future, you know? Because things keep repeating themselves. There's always an A to B. There's always, you start, you know, look at like arms races and stuff. You start in one place and it's lucky we didn't have a war, because that's not a usual outcome of an arms race. You know, you build up an arsenal and then you use it. Like, that's sort of the idea of it. But people sometimes don't see it as that. Sometimes see it as two separate things. But everything's linked in a way. Everything, like, I don't want to be like someone who says like fate, but everything always leads to something. Like, look at, like, I don't know, World War II, I don't want to be like controversial or anything, but like, you have some guy who doesn't like a race of people. I mean, every genocide that's happened all over the world, he gets into power, and then they go, I don't like this. It's just it seems separate, but you have to have a genuine hatred for something, for then something to happen, even though they could be separate, but they're not. They're so, everything's connected, I see. I don't know how to give like examples, but
That's okay, that
off the top of my head.
explanation.
If you could change one thing in the world, what would you like to change? Or more than one thing?
I think if you how do I phrase this? So if you have you seen the film Black Panther? Yeah. So like, obviously they have like, Wakanda, like they have that in a oppressed area of the world. I feel like if the world grew together and there wasn't as much oppression, so like the smart people from Africa and Asia, when they were like colonized, were just moved to the West so we could exploit them. But if everyone not kept to themselves, but like if everyone advanced together through their own culture, through their own medium, it'd be like there wouldn't be as much oppression, because everyone would see themselves as equal. I don't know what to say. I think that would solve a considerable amount of problems in the world. If everyone saw themselves throughout, I mean, now it's more of a thing that everyone sees themselves as is equal to everyone else in the world. But like, if we always saw that, I feel like there wouldn't be a lot of crises, and a lot of places will be more developed. I don't know, because I'm sort of coming from a Western view of like a way of seeing things where it's like governance, whereas like I know in different areas of the world it's like more tribal and stuff, especially like in North America essentially before colonization happened and before imposing our culture on other people and putting them in a box. I feel like if you sort of if everyone just like helped each other through stuff, like shared, if it wasn't just the West, not the Northern West, that was sharing ideas, but like everyone contributed to something, I feel like there would be, if everyone saw themselves as equal throughout time, there wouldn't be as many problems in the world, because a lot of it stems from colonization and decolonization, because they were both bad, done in bad ways.
What makes you angry?
How little sleep I get, because I'm always tired. No, not much. I have other than like the generic things, like someone says something or someone genuinely does something that will make you angry. Not much. I try to be as I always have been like relaxed, I've tried to be I think stress would be the best one, because if I get stressed sometimes I can get angry, because I don't deal well with stress, but I don't get stressed a lot. So it's like, yeah, so I try to remain relaxed. Obviously if someone like offends you or hurts you, obviously you're going to be angry. Like that's not news to anyone, you know, but like other than that, stress. But I try and keep on a level, you know.
What makes you happy?
As I said before, like the feeling valued would be a very good one. Doing something. I mean, there's a lot of different things which make me happy. I mean, you could start from like the really shallow things, which is being immersed in a video game, being playing football, doing things that I enjoy, obviously make me happy, you know. But above that, again, above the sort of generic things which make people happy, which make people sad, which make people stressed, make people do any emotion, it's like I feel like happiness comes from being valued and doing something which is worthwhile. Apart from, because obviously like there's little value in playing video games and stuff in terms of like feeling important, but so my ambition, as you asked before, where do I see myself in 10 years? Hopefully happy in terms of the fact I'm somewhere which actually values me in a job. I think that's the one of the main things which would make my... So obviously you're happy in the moment. So if I'm playing football, maybe losing, I'm still happy because I got to be a part of it. I got to do something I enjoy. You play a video game, you're happy in the moment because you're enjoying what you're doing. But to be like actually happy, it comes from value, I think. For me anyway. I think it's a lot, that would be the same for a lot of people. I don't think that I'm alone in that. I don't think I've got a new view on that, but I think that feeling valued is important for stuff. So, for example, if you're staff somewhere, right, and the company you work for is making millions, and you're like a dog's body for them, you know, and they don't even give you anything. Sometimes they don't even give you benefits for doing the thing that makes them millions. For being the guys on the ground, you know, like pubs giving their staff cheap or free drinks. It's like the best example. They're the ones who are pouring the pints. They're the ones who are dealing with the customers face to face. And sometimes they don't feel valued because their employer doesn't. So there's two stems of that. I think there's the work that you're doing and how you're rewarded within a company. So where I see myself in 10 years, hopefully somewhere which either gives me one of them, which would make me happy, generally. Not just in the moment of playing video games or playing football or just drinking or being out with friends. Being genuinely happy all the time. Going to bed happy, shall we say.
What does love means to you?
Deep. In any particular context? No.
Ideal
That's tough. There's so many different types, you know. It's an extension of happiness, I think. Generally speaking. You love doing something because it makes you happy. You love someone because they make you happy. Because you can love your family, friends, girlfriend, husband, wife, whoever. I think that's how I do see it. as an extension of happiness. I love playing video games, you know. I love playing football. I love doing research on international law because it genuinely makes me happy. I think that's what it is generally. Obviously, there's different like intricacies like within relationships. You know, you have so like with your family, people say you don't have a choice, but you do. You know, to an extent. Probably not before you're 18. You have to. I think that because there's obviously a difference between unconditional love. You love your parents because they're there for you. If they're there for you, you know, they've brought you into the world and supported you. Other than that, I don't think there's much difference. I think it's all an extension of happiness. I think you love something because of how happy it makes you. Like a genuine feeling of happiness. Yeah. I think, yeah. I never thought of it that way before. But I really like believe that, I think. But then again, no one's ever asked me what do I think of love. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's all it is really. Except from obviously there's exceptions to like, you're with someone, you love someone because they make you happy. You won't love them if they made you really upset. I mean, like the majority of the time. I mean, people have arguments and stuff. But that's when unconditional love comes in.
What is unconditional love?
I think it's to do with not social pressure in a way, but way things are done socially. So you're supposed to love your parents back because, you know, so obviously we've been, some of us, me not included, have been granted with a paternal and maternal instinct. So if you have a child, like there's that part of your brain. Like, people who don't have children find children cute because of that sort of instinct and want children because of that sort of instinct. That the whole, like, sort of... When you, like, for unconditional love, it's like... I feel like with the instincts that you have, with, like, a motherly or fatherly instinct, it's like you give a child unconditional love. And that is reciprocated through how you treat, you know, like, you treat people how you should be treated, sort of thing. I don't know, it's hard to say for, like, a baby and stuff, but, like, when, obviously, it's then different in relationships between partners, because then, again, things like social pressure of being together, maybe families have something to do with it, maybe, I don't know, you're tied in some way. In marriage, obviously, finances get tied, etc., etc. So it leads to unconditional love, but that is not the same organic unconditional love as a family one, because if you feel forced into loving someone because you're tied financially, or you're tied because you own a house together or things, then it's not the sort of organic unconditional love that comes from like a maternal, paternal instinct and that being reciprocated by a child. I think, because a child, I mean, like, imagine if a baby was just like left, it wouldn't know what to do. Like, we've developed as a species differently to like lions, where they can, or deers, for example, where they can run from the day that they're born. Like, there's a reason why we have genetic code to care for our offspring. Because they can't walk, because they can't do things. And, like, obviously you don't have a memory of that, but you know it happened. So it's like that is reciprocated, and that's quite organic, unconditional love, but obviously when you're forced or feel pressured into actually loving someone, then that's different, isn't it? I don't know, like, it went a lot deeper than I thought, when I first started. But to begin with, it's just love is just an extension of happiness. You love things because of how genuinely happy it makes you. That's why, I don't know. And I feel like you stop loving something if you stop enjoying it. For generally, there's obviously exceptions to that.
Okay, James, to wrap this up, if you could give one piece of advice to yourself watching this in the future, or anyone watching, what would you say?
This is something that my dad told me, and I feel like it's very important. And people don't see it this way. And it's a very, very important way to see luck. Luck, you can get lucky, right? You can win the lottery. That's pretty lucky. You can win a bet. Except, apart from gambling, it's when the right mind meets the opportunity. So, for instance, keep yourself open. And so, for example, like people would call like Richard Branson lucky. He's not lucky. He had a good mind. He had an idea, and all these investors then came in that gave him the opportunity. It all boils down to the right mind meeting opportunity. That's how I see luck. And if I'm lucky, so to speak, then I've left myself open long enough for the right opportunity to come in, and then my mind's been ready for it. It could be anything. And a job, getting investment, an opportunity, and you have the right mind for it. That's how I see it. Apart from gambling, of course. Obviously, if you get lotto numbers and you win, that's luck. There's some kind of plan there. There's some kind of something else there. But everything else, that if you're lucky to get it, you're never lucky to get like a job, or you're never lucky to get an opportunity, or you're never lucky to do something. It's just you were in the right place mentally when the opportunity came up. Right place, right time. Right time mentally, right place for the opportunity. Is how I see luck. So always be open and for the opportunity with that mindset, and then you'll be lucky.
Thank you, James.
Thank you
very much.
No worries.